Do not take the elevator after midnight. If the doors open on 8, do not look. And if you hear your own voice calling your name, it already heard you first. Do not answer. Because the people who disappear in this building are the ones who thought they stayed silent. The elevator in my building skips a floor, and no one who lives here will explain why. I noticed it on my second night, coming home later than usual with takeout in one hand and my keys in the other. The panel went from 6 to 7, paused, flickered once, and then jumped straight to 9. No 8. At first I thought it was just some weird design choice. Some buildings skip 13 because people are superstitious. Maybe this place had skipped 8 for the same reason. But when I checked the evacuation map by the stairwell, there was a blank strip between the 7th and 9th floors. Not a missing label. An empty space. Like the building itself was pretending not to notice something. I asked the concierge downstairs the next morning. He smiled too quickly and said, "There is no 8th floor." I asked why the elevator still hesitated there. He stopped smiling after that. "Take the stairs after midnight," he said, and looked past me like the conversation was over. That should have been enough warning. It wasn't. Once I started noticing the pattern, I couldn't stop. People came home late carrying groceries, gym bags, dry cleaning, and every single one of them went for the stairs after 12. Even the old woman from 10B with a bad knee. Even the guy on crutches from 4A. Nobody touched the elevator. One night, I followed a man from the lobby to the stairwell just to see if he would say anything. He was carrying a box of office files and breathing hard before he even reached the first landing. I asked him why everyone avoided the elevator. He kept climbing. Then he said, without turning around, "If it stops on 8, do not step out." I asked what was on 8. He answered, "The people who thought they could just look." Then he added one more thing. "And if one of them speaks to you, do not answer, even if it sounds like someone you trust." I laughed a little because I didn't know what else to do. He didn't. After that, I promised myself I would ignore all of it. Go to work, come home, sleep, mind my own business. That lasted 4 days. On the 5th night, I came back around 2 a.m. after covering for a coworker. I was exhausted, my feet hurt, and the stairwell smelled like bleach and damp concrete. I stood there looking at the elevator doors, telling myself not to be stupid. Then I pressed the button. The car arrived almost immediately, too quickly. The doors opened onto an empty elevator with bright, clean light and faint instrumental music. Nothing looked wrong. I stepped inside. The doors closed. The panel lit up. 4, 5, 6, 7. Then the lights flickered once. The music cut out in the middle of a note, and the elevator stopped so gently I almost thought I imagined it. The display showed 8. The doors began to open. I remembered the warning and reached for the close button. It didn't respond. The doors slid fully open. The hallway outside looked like the hallway on my floor, except everything was just slightly wrong. The wallpaper pattern was the same, but faded. The lamps were in the same places, but gave off weaker light. The carpet was the same color, but stained darker near the walls. At the far end stood 3 people, shoulder to shoulder, perfectly still. I couldn't see their faces clearly. I didn't want to. One of them lifted an arm and pointed into the hallway behind them. Not at me. Past me. Like someone else had just stepped into the elevator. I turned around. There was no one there. When I faced the doors again, the 3 figures were closer. I hit the close button again and again. Nothing. Then one of them spoke. "You forgot something." It was my mother's voice. She had been dead for 6 years. I don't remember pressing every button on the panel, but I must have because suddenly the doors slammed shut hard enough to shake the car. The elevator dropped for a second, then shot upward so fast my stomach turned. It finally stopped on 9. I got out and took the stairs down to my floor. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. Around 3 a.m., I started hearing 3 soft knocks from the wall beside my bed. Always 3, then silence, then 3 again. I told myself it was pipes. Old buildings make noises, buildings settle, metal expands and contracts. But the 3rd night, I made the mistake of knocking back. 3 knocks from me. 3 immediate knocks back. Louder, closer. Then my own voice came through the wall and said, very calmly, "Wrong floor." The next morning, I found a handwritten note taped inside the stairwell between 7 and 9. The paper looked old, damp at the corners, and folded so many times it was almost tearing. It said, "If you hear knocking, do not answer. If the elevator opens on 8, keep your eyes on the floor. If they say your name, stay silent. If the doors close before you speak, you still have time." At the bottom, in darker ink, someone had written, "If they say you already answered, do not believe them." That line bothered me more than the rest. Already answered how? Already answered when? I started noticing smaller things after that. The elevator doors would sometimes open on my floor with no one inside, as if it had just dropped someone off and they had walked out before the car reached me. Sometimes the panel would flicker 8 for a fraction of a second, even in daylight. Once I rode with a man in a gray coat who stared at the numbers the whole time and got off on 7. The doors closed. The elevator paused. Then they opened again on the same floor. The hallway was empty. The man in the gray coat was gone. No footsteps, no door closing, just gone. I called out to him without thinking. Something whispered my name from below the panel. After that, I stopped using the elevator entirely. I took the stairs to leave, the stairs to come back. I counted each landing like the tenants did. I understood why now. Counting gave you something human to hold on to. One night, going up from the lobby, I reached the landing between 7 and 9 and found the old woman from 10B standing there with one hand on the railing. She looked exhausted. Not old, worn down. I asked if she was okay. She nodded too quickly, then whispered, "It learns your voice first." I asked what that meant. She said, "You think the danger is answering out loud." Then she looked at me with wet, tired eyes and said, "It counts if you answer in your head." I left the building the next morning intending not to come back. I even booked a motel across town for the week. I packed a bag, took my laptop, charger, 2 changes of clothes, and told myself I would call a moving company later. But when I got to the train station, I reached into my pocket and found my apartment key hanging from a different ring. One I didn't own. A brass tag was attached to it, stamped with the number 8. I threw it into a trash can. 10 minutes later, I heard something metal sliding across the tile near my shoe. The key was back. That was when I knew leaving wouldn't be simple. I went back that night because I wanted this over. Not safe, just over. The lobby was empty. No concierge, no camera light at the desk. The elevator doors were already open, waiting. I should have taken the stairs. I know that. But by then I was too tired to be afraid in the normal way. I stepped inside. The doors closed at once. I pressed my floor. The panel ignored it. The elevator rose. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The doors opened. I kept my eyes on the floor like the note said. I saw shoes first. Bare feet, slippers, dress shoes, sneakers, a line of them on the carpet outside the elevator. More than a dozen people standing there, no one moving. Then one pair of shoes stepped forward, and a voice said, "Look at me." It was my own voice. I stayed silent. Another voice spoke from the left. The concierge. "You can still go back if you admit you heard us." From the right, the old woman from 10B said, "It's easier if you answer." Then my mother said my name again. I didn't speak. But in my head, for 1 weak, terrified second, I thought, "Stop." The hallway went completely silent. Then all the voices together whispered, "Thank you." The doors slammed shut. The elevator didn't move. A monitor above the panel crackled to life. Black and white security feed. It showed the 8th floor hallway. All those people were there, facing the elevator, and in the middle of them was one empty space, the exact size and shape of a person. My size. I watched one of the figures step sideways into that space. The screen flickered, updated. Now I was standing there, same clothes, same face, head tilted slightly, like I was listening for something far away. The version of me on the screen smiled first. Then, I felt my own mouth do the same. I'm writing this from the elevator because it hasn't moved since. The panel keeps showing 8. Sometimes the doors open, but only on the monitor. I see the hallway. I see the line of people. Every now and then, I see the elevator open somewhere else in the building for someone who is tired, curious, or careless enough to step inside after midnight. They always look confused at first. Then, they hear a voice they know. Then, they answer, even if they swear they didn't. If you live in a building where the elevator skips a floor, take the stairs. If the panel shows 8, keep your eyes down. If someone says your name, do not answer. And if you ever hear your own voice from behind a wall telling you that you missed your floor, believe it. Because by then, it's already too late to go back.